All right, let's take a look at the Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical. I'm gonna leave the exact reference number to this below in the description. Just as a note, this is the one that comes on the olive green NATO strap here, which is actually a very good quality for a NATO. You can see it's signed by Hamilton on the buckle here. It's actually very nice, and it's the thickness is just right on this. It's not really my style, so I put this on this gray woven NATO strap here, which I think makes it look a little bit better with the white dial. But let's get into the specs of this watch. Then I'll give you my experience and my thought on it, and then at the end I will tell you guys if I recommend it. So let's get into the specs really quickly here. We got a 38mm case size. We have a thickness here of 9.8 millimeters, so very thin. We have a 47mm lug to lug here, and we have a 20mm lug width. We got a sapphire crystal up top with no AR coating. We have printed indices on the dial, and we have that faux patina loom. We have a hand winding H50 movement, which is a ETA 2801-2. What they did is they basically renamed it the H50 because they downed the vibrations per minute, and they gave it a 80-hour power reserve. So this is a push-pull crown with the hacking second hands there. As you can see too, there's no AR coating, like I said, so it actually reflects a lot of the light. But it has a screw-in case back. So with that combination of the screw-in case back and the push-pull crown, they give us 50 meters of water resist. And as you can tell, that's the only place that there is any type of brushing too, because the whole case is sandblasted, which is a different look. But you have the signed crown and the drilled lug holes. And these can be picked up in Joma's shop currently in June 2021 for around $350. Hamilton has them listed on their official website for $625. That's on the olive green NATO strap. And you can also pick up, they actually sell one now on a metal bracelet. I don't think this watch belongs on a metal bracelet, but if that's what you're into, those are running around $695, so you can pick those up as well. You can also get these, you'll find these on eBay, used, pre-owned, and they usually run around $300 to $500, depending on the day, and you can maybe find them a little bit cheaper, but they're usually right around that price. So with this watch here, I actually always wanted a Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical. I actually like the other iteration of this that had the date display, and those actually had the 2800 vibrations per minute, which was basically a high beat movement, and that was less power reserve, but it came with a date window, and it had a smoother sweeping hand, which like I said, I wanted one of those. But then when this iteration came out, but in a black dial, I thought visually it was more my taste, so I kind of wanted it a little bit more. And then when this exact model came out with the white dial, I knew I had to have one of these. I always kind of put it on the back burner because I was on to other things in my watch collecting journey. So this one kind of sat dormant, you know. I always had it on my pickup list, but I didn't get around to it until about 6 months ago. So I've had this watch for about 6 months here, and it wears. Let me put it on wrist here so you can see. It actually wears very nice and low to the wrist here with that case thickness of a 9.8 millimeters and that lug to lug of 47. Wears real nice. So just as a reference, my wrist size is 7 inches here. Come on. And as you can see, it hugs the wrist very nicely here. It wears very low, very light watch. I mean, it's very comfortable, very light. You really forget this. This is probably the lightest watch I've ever worn. You forget that you have this on wrist. Since I wear it above the bone, so it never really hits the back of my wrist. This watch is very, very light. Wears very well. very comfortable watch. Even with the NATO here, it's right over the 10 millimeter mark. So this fits under any type of cuff, any sweater, which is really nice. I like it because it protects the watch a little bit more when you're wearing a long sleeve sweater or like a long sleeve shirt. Very comfortable watch to wear. But I've owned this, like I said, for 6 months, and honestly, it hasn't had much wrist time. I always wanted the Hamilton, the khaki field mechanical, like I said, but so let's go over my experience. So when I finally got around to purchasing this watch, I was really excited. The thought of owning such a nice piece with a lot of history behind it, with the whole World War II issue of this variant of this, it actually would look very similar to this, but of course it had the black dial. But I like the history behind it. I like the Hamilton. I like the U.S. In particular history with it, with the watch. I really wanted to own this. I always planned on putting it on a gray NATO strap just because I like the combination of the white and the gray. And I always wanted to wear this, you know, with some Chuck Taylors and some Levi's jeans and do the whole Americana thing. And maybe even go to the gun range and, you know, put a few rounds through some targets, but that whole Americana vibe. But when I got this in hand and I first opened the box, two things came to mind right away. First of all is, wow, I can't believe this is a 38. It just looks so much bigger. I think it's a combination of the white dial and how the bezel is really thin. It's mostly dial. So this, when I first opened it, I thought it was a 40 or maybe a 41. I'm used to wearing 40 to 42 millimeter divers here. And I thought when I picked this up, I thought a 38 would be a nice change of pace, you know, but now don't get me wrong, this actually wears very well with the 47 millimeter lug to lug. Any variety of size wrist can wear it. 6-inch wrist to even an 8-inch wrist would be fine wearing it because it has that longer lug to lug of 47, so it still fits way over your wrist here. It doesn't, but it won't overhang. So it's actually a very, very good size. But with the 38, I personally wanted it to wear a little bit smaller. But you know, when I saw it, I couldn't believe it. So I took my calipers out and I just checked it just to get it out of my system. And of course it is a 38, but it looks visually a lot bigger. It's just that optical illusion of the white dial, I think, with the thin bezel here. Second thought that came to mind right when I opened it, first impressions, was and I'm gonna catch some heat for this, but I'm gonna say it because this is my experience with the watch. I thought it looked cheap. And I think it's a combination. Now that I've owned it for 6 months and I've sat back and thought about this, I think it's a combination with me personally of having that sandblasted case, that faux patina, and the printed indices here. It makes it look like a watch that you can pick up at Target for less than 40 bucks. And I really did not like that. That was my first thought, like, wow, this looks cheap. Now, it's not a cheap watch. You can feel the quality and the hand winding. You can feel it's buttery smooth. I can feel the quality of the materials. It's built, I mean, it's built tough, right? This is a war-proven watch. Maybe not these in particular, but you know, it's a reissue of the actual thing. And so these have been through hell and back, and I mean, they're supposed to be tough, right? But that aesthetic to me makes it look, like I said, like a cheap watch. And when I mean cheap, I mean just like a monetary cheap, because like I said, this is built well, but it just looks like something you can buy for, you know, at a regular department store for, you know, 20, 30, 40 bucks. With that said though, it's not a bad watch. I just don't seem to be wearing it, I think, for that reason, which is really a bummer because I was on the hype train with this. I really wanted it. I saw the reviews. I read reviews online. Nobody seemed to mention this, so I know I can't be the only one that experienced or has these thoughts, but it just was a big slap in the face when I opened this watch, because I really wanted to like it. I mean, I've kept it for 6 months because I've tried to wear it, and it's not that it's a bad experience. It's just not, it's not a fit for me, I guess. But though, I had to share that with you guys just in case you have the same experience when you pick one of these up. You know, I wanted to share my initial thoughts on it, because it was very important. At least it was to me. You know, it was something that I never had heard anybody else say before. That it wore bigger than what it is, or that it looked cheap. Especially that it looked cheap. Maybe I think I read online on a few threads that it wore a little bit bigger just because of the 47 lug to lug. So that's maybe out there, but I think this kind of looks cheap. Like I said, it's not a cheap watch. You can feel it's a Swiss made with American history. I mean, I really wanted this watch for a while, and I'm really bummed that I had this experience, but I just can't get over that. I think it's that sandblasted case, like I said, with the printed indices. I just can't do it. Man, it's just all that history too. It's a bummer. I think this is like a grail of the field watch world, right? So I really wanted to keep this in the collection, but I think I'm gonna have to let this go. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys have the white dial version, if you guys experience something similar, or if you have the black dial version, do you guys see the same thing, or is it maybe a little bit or if you own both, let me know if there actually is a difference in you know, and at least aesthetically, if one looks cheaper than the other, because I'm bummed that I have to let this go. I'm kind of torn. It's kind of weird, but would I recommend this watch? I think I would still recommend this watch. If you really like field mechanicals, you can't do better than the Hamilton Khaki Field. I mean, just the you know, like I said, the history behind it, the Swiss made for way less than 500 bucks. You can get these, like I said, on the gray market for 350, which is a really good, I think, a really good deal. You might like even the NATO strap, the olive green. It's just this wasn't my speed. I never actually even worn it on this, but I think I would recommend it. I just don't think it's a good fit for me. So let me know what you guys think, if you guys agree with that. Let me show you guys the lume on this. Let me charge this up. There's not a lot of lume, and it's that faux patina lume, so it's not very strong, but it's actually not that bad. You can see the hour hands for a while if you charge this up for just a little bit here. So let me show you guys here. Let me turn off the lights. So as you can see, it's not that bad. It's legible. The hour markers go first, of course, and then the hands last a little bit longer. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next one.